And welcome to episode number 2 of the Colour Sports podcast. We got through episode 1, well you guys did, and Tim and I are back. We are really excited about today's episode, and it's probably come a lot sooner than what we thought. Thanks to all of you guys out there who have tuned in, listened, downloaded, shared it with friends, whatever you've done, it's been amazing. So welcome back, Tim Valentine.
Thanks, mate, and welcome to anyone new. We should say as well, welcome anyone new. And yeah, man, we smashed through the charts, and wow, like that was just a massive response. And you forced our hand here. We certainly committed to this for the long term, but I would say that did I expect to be here 2 weeks later? Probably not. But the reality is there's so much to talk about in this space of closing the say-do gap.
Yep.
And today, we're really going to pick apart a really big area of that, but we'll park that for now.
Yeah, let's first of all, let's talk about what has happened since we launched episode 1. We somehow,
Did you read it?
I think my mum downloaded it 400 times. Anyway, so we ended up worldwide in iTunes 2 days after we launched at number 2 in sport and recreation. Behind, I think Mark Howard was pretty much great podcast, by the way, the Howie Games.
I like the fact that we knocked off Hachi and Damo Barrett, which was pretty funny. But there's actually someone that I subscribe to, so that gave me some context around it. But
and number 10 overall. So number 10 overall podcast.
100?
Sorry, 100.
100. Oh, get me 100.
Oh,
Let the helmet out. Let the helmet
We'll give it a month. Well,
Rich Roll was 104.
Yeah, we toppled Rich there for about 24 hours.
So look, thanks guys.
So I think the important message here is that what that does for you guys more so than us is it allows us to attract guests into the future, definitely, and guests that are going to have some amazing stories, some really good insights into how they use the say-do gap and what their interpretation of it is. So I would encourage everyone, if you haven't already, and thanks to those who have, to leave a review and rate the show.
Only good ones.
Someone
gave us 4 stars.
If that's you,
that's
devastating.
That was devastating.
Anyway, so thank you to everyone that's done that. We've had a stack of reviews, some really good feedback as well.
Yeah, really good.
Mainly good.
Yeah, really good.
Just gave me a pump up.
We've got a lot to learn.
Yeah, but definitely some good tips as well. So while we're on the shameless self-promotion side of things before we get going, definitely follow us at Colour Sports on Facebook and or Colour Sports 01 on Instagram. That would be really helpful, and that obviously will be the platform where you'll hear a lot about future episodes, future guests, anything that's happening in the Colour Sports world.
Our athletes crushing it. Absolutely crushing it. The last fortnight, it didn't blow me away because it's every fortnight. It's just like the letters on my keyboard, P and B, are faded, and it's such a testament to these guys. They just work so damn hard, and a pleasure to coach.
Yeah, it's oh my god, the Facebook post. You guys have no understanding of what goes into getting these posts out.
Facebook.
One day, Facebook will have a platform that you can easily edit without dropping all the tags, all that sort of stuff.
How many times it takes to put those national flags?
Oh my god. Anyway, we get there and I think it looks good. And it looks even better that we have so many PBs popping up week after week or fortnight after fortnight. And it's a global thing. It's not just, we're definitely Australians obviously and that's all good, but the global reach now of the athletes, every fortnight there's a new country that sort of pops up.
Yeah. We've got a new one coming this fortnight, Saudi Arabia.
Nice.
There's a marathon in Saudi Arabia, and
Wow.
that's a first. So
Yeah.
I would be running fast. No, I shouldn't say. But yeah, so that's something there. So we're gonna find that national flag. I
Yeah.
don't know what is it? Colour? No.
Don't-
Don't go there.
You put me under a bus. This is getting political. So anyway, I'll work on that and I'll do some research and hopefully I won't upset anyone. So one of the funniest things that's happened in the last fortnight is, so I'm sitting at home about a few days ago, probably a week ago now, and all of a sudden April goes, "What's Tim doing on Facebook?" And all these alerts start going on, and then I'm getting messages from mates in Melbourne, Brisbane, and wherever else in Australia, and they're like, "What's happened with Tim? First of all, is he okay?" So we've got a note to talk about here. Tim breaks Facebook, so mate, fill us in, please.
Well, I'm not that great at these sides of things, and I just thought, well, I want to share this this first episode of the podcast around, and so anyway, I just created this message with the link to subscribe, but I didn't realise that I was creating a group, and so I just was clicking all these people, and then I started getting all these people waving at me. You know, I didn't know you could wave on Facebook, and it just got a little bit out of control. And then Ross Young, who's a rugby coach in Adelaide, he was having a bit of fun with it. But I think I had to manually delete over 420 Facebook people, and I had some people message me privately on text message like, "Are you okay? Is everything okay? Have you been hacked?" And I just had to put my hand up and say basically I completely stuffed it up. So yeah, sorry for the inconvenience there, people, if you're added to a group and then taken off. But I really don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah, so as a tech guru, you make a really good endurance sports coach. Let's leave it there, right? So
yeah, it was pretty disappointing. But
nice. Now we've already touched on feedback from Facebook and all that sort of stuff, which is awesome. So keep that coming. Now, what I do want to talk about, and this comes pretty much, so when we sat down and worked out what we wanted to talk about, we sort of said it wasn't really going to be about us, and we were like, let's just knock that out in the first episode.
it's really unrealistic, I think.
Yeah, so like it's been amazing the amount of people that have contacted both of us and said how awesome it was just to get an idea of who we are a little bit more.
Sure.
Which has been really fun as well. And I think some of the feedback was that, it sounded like we had good, inverted commas, chemistry. Anyway, so
We're playing footsies under the table.
yeah. So based on that, what we wanted to incorporate into each and every episode from now on is let's see what we've both been up to.
Yep.
So first of all, I'm going to hit you, and you're going to tell the world what T Valentine is training for at the moment and all that sort of stuff. Because as a lot of people don't follow you on Strava, obviously.
No, I don't have many followers.
There's not many followers, probably a good thing, because you might blow that up too. But yeah, so obviously, for those that do know, you've been doing a stack of training, and fill us in.
I'm right in the thick of my racing season, which is a bunch of 7.3s. So we touched on last episode about the disappointment with my bike leg in Kona, and how I was going to go about addressing that, and I genuinely found it really difficult I find it really hard as a coach, even when someone's mid-Ironman block, of course you've got to improve fitness, but I mean really dig down without that haze of that Ironman fatigue, that real heavy load. So it was advised to me actually by talking to a few people, why don't I go and get 90 kilometres right before I go and try and conquer 180, which actually, the old common sense hack, that actually does make a lot of sense to me. I'm like, well, okay, let's try and do that first. So certainly felt like I took a huge step at Malaysia to prove that some of the changes that I'd been making had been working, and going to stay in this half space until I'm totally satisfied that I can then translate that pretty much that same. I want to get that feeling where I can just hold that. Basically, be able to hold what I can do for the half and feel almost fresh coming off the bike. So next up for me is Colombo, Sri Lanka, which really, like, I'm genuinely excited. I like to travel. In case you haven't noticed, I really like to travel and get around and race around the world. And maybe that's come through with Color Sports, the coaching business. But I was trying to think. I can't remember the last time I raced in Australia, mate.
Yeah, right.
I can't. When was it? It might have been Melbourne. No, sure. Yeah, I think it was Melbourne. Like, it's been over 5. I think so.
Yeah, right.
And you know, there's a few reasons for that, which maybe I can touch on. But anyway,
nice. So you're off to Colombo, and it's probably a good note to make as well that there is a very solid group of Color Sports athletes that are going to be joining you.
It's going to be
on
awesome.
trip.
Yeah, we've got.
I'm not one of them, by the way.
No, you're staying home and looking after the house. But yeah, there's a really solid group of, I'd say, well-prepared athletes too.
Yeah.
Who are going to go over there, and we just so happen. I just so happened to coach the race director and organizer, Rajan, and he's a really hard-working guy, and this is the second year of Sri Lanka. So yeah, a really interesting culture. I've never been to the country, and just to touch on the travel thing, like it genuinely opens your eyes up. I think about the fun races that you do, and you know, throughout Asia, and trying to perform away from home. It's a bit like in any sport. It's easy to do it on your home deck.
Yeah.
You know, you've got your own bed, roll at it. You know, you've got your own food, your own nutrition. You're familiar with the climate. Go on the road. Try and perform on the road, and there's a whole mastery to that.
Yeah.
And you just pick up things as you go along. So Colombo it is. That's a half. Pretty excited. Yeah.
Nice. And then off the back of that, and like a little leading, what's the goal? We're going to be talking about goals a lot. So what's your goal for Colombo?
Look, it's going to sound like crap, but my goals are very much set before I step into a season. So very open about that. Obviously, before Malaysia, I just put it straight out there that I wanted to be first age grouper and set a course record. Yeah, that's not me just saying top show, like genuinely not saying that, but it's a really specific goal setting is a fine art. Sure. It's not for this podcast. Yeah. But so look, Colombo you could say is similar, but I don't look. It's going to sound like bullshit.
Oh, hang on.
I'll do it.
Oh,
there you
we've got a jar now.
It's going to sound like, but I used to look at the age group field.
Right, as in a week before, and then you Google them, you find them on Strava.
All that crap, basically, that goes with it. And I just don't have time, to be frank, but I don't do that. And that's been a real turning point for me. But when you coach the race director, it's been brought to my attention of some of the people that are there. So it's been an interesting prep, because I certainly know that the guy that won it last year, who I've never gotten within 15 minutes of, is there. Right. And that's been a different, maybe that's a bad motivator. It could be bad because it's external. Yeah. But certainly, have I pushed harder this prep knowing that that's there? Yeah, probably. Yeah. So I don't know, but maybe I've overtrained. So there's some doubt, but I'm certainly, I'm fit. Yeah, cool.
So I'll ask you a question that this has just come to me, and I'm going to ask this straight out to you. So when you're climbing up Razorback Hill, which is finishes with a 15% climb for 1 point whatever k's, and you're on your 6th repeat up and down there over the last few weeks. Yeah. So do you see an avatar of the guy up the street, or what goes on in your own head when your bum's hanging out a bit, going up there 6-7 times? What goes through your head?
It's a great question, and honestly I do. I don't usually. So this is where this prep's thrown me a little bit for 2 reasons. I'm motivated for a reason that I don't like, but we'll see what that turns out to be. But also I've found it really difficult to get a gauge on how fit I am, because it's depths of summer in southeast Queensland. Yeah. So it's really hard to perform in training day in, day out, because you're just constantly sweating, dehydrated, it's to put some perspective. It's only about 32,
Yeah.
but it's more the humidity.
Yeah.
And it's constant. It's relentless. Or it hasn't dropped below 28 now for 3 months. So, by the way, I'm not baby Jesus. I'm not complaining. It's much better than winter, but it's been really hard to get a gauge on where I'm at because I think about Malaysia preparing for October, and you did have just that little bit of crispness where you could sometimes sort of turn the
So AM, PM was a little bit.
just
whereas now
different.
it's like it doesn't matter even if you go out at 5:30 PM for a long run. It's still
It's heavy,
within
mate.
a K or two you're dripping.
Which is great because
Yeah.
Colombo has that.
Yeah.
It's quite tropical environment.
So you don't really get a perfect gauge on where you are in relation to. You can look at a run split you did let's say a 5K you did in October 1st last year, as opposed to doing it now.
Yep.
You might be 10 to 12 seconds a
I
K
couldn't
slower,
touch it.
but could be fitter.
Yes,
So
it's
tricky.
It's genuinely tricky. So that's been hard, but I just have to kind of
Trust the process.
trust the process that it's there, but also trust that. Also, I did the whole of my Melbourne Ironman prep, albeit 5 years ago on the Gold Coast, same weather climate, and that turned out really well. So I do actually have that. I should say I have total faith that I'm fit and strong and all those sorts of things, and I'm right in the middle of my peak week.
Yeah.
Right today is that day. So I'm coming towards the top of my fatigue. Say fatigue, not fitness, because it's something that I focus on quite a lot and listen to my body a lot. Learn to be able to do that.
Yeah.
I still struggle with rest days, but So look, it's
Okay.
gonna be fun, man.
So, and just touching on that as well, we are both the week before, not the ideal preparation, but we are both going to Geelong the weekend before.
Yeah.
We've got a host of athletes racing in Geelong in Victoria in the 70.3. So that's clearly, and we'll touch on this later in this episode as well, but planning for that. So you know that you're not going to have a bike for two to 3 days while you're down there. And all
It's
that sort of stuff.
interesting, like you touched on about not the ideal preparation, but for me, knowing that it's coming, I turn that into a positive in that I get to sit a week out from a right race and watch people race.
Yeah.
And I actually get a lot of motivation from watching other people hurt and suffer, and you kind of get that
Energy.
little bug, and it really actually gives me a bit of a buzz. So going, down to Geelong or whatever you want to call it, for me, I'm so pumped because we've got a really solid group of athletes.
Yep.
But also, I'll put my hand up selfishly, it's going to give me a bit of a shot in the arm, I reckon, in terms of then getting on the burner the next day and heading across to Colombo with another bunch of Colombo sports athletes. Like it's what a
life.
What a life.
Yeah, that's great.
You've got to pinch yourself. So, so Colombo, it'd be nice to crack the course record, and nice to be first age grouper. But I'm very realistic in that I know it's going to sound defeatist, so please don't beat me over there. But I haven't gotten within 15 minutes of this guy ever, and I'm going to give it my best. My wife Alicia is actually pretty excited because she thinks I'm going to be pushed more than I've ever been able to push.
Yeah.
So. Let's see what happens. So next podcast, we'll wait and see.
Yeah, cool.
But
Sounds awesome.
But you, my friend, are into the early stages of Ironman Cairns prep.
Yep.
2 weeks deep, 3 weeks deep.
Something like that.
Yeah, but it probably started.
First of
after
September.
Cairns. Yeah.
1st of September, really, last
Yeah,
year. So what date of people listening to this down the track? We're now, what's today? The 8th of Feb or 7th of Feb, something like that.
Yeah.
So realistically, it's I'm sort of 5 months in, really, training 6 to 7 days a week. But geez, the volume's ramped up, especially with running. So that's and being a bigger guy, like I'm not going to race at 65, 67 kilos. It's just
bad luck.
it's not going to happen.
Yeah,
right?
true.
I've got these, and I'll touch on it.
You've got 65 kilo quads.
I've got soccer legs.
You
Yeah.
do.
Yeah, and then I had soccer legs, and then I rode my bike around Australia, and riding your bike for basically every day for 3 months is not going to make your legs leaner.
No.
I mean, they were lean, but there was plenty of muscle there too. So that
And also,
hinders me a little bit.
there's not as much hair on the legs as
I-
there once was. You went around Australia with hairy legs.
Hairy legs. Always. I was that guy, you know, the guy at the Tri Club goes,
Yep.
I'm looking at the money here, I was going to swear, but I'm not going to do it.
Good work.
So I was the guy that was like, I'm never shaving my legs, this is such a joke. So I started just a little patch.
What the sample would rush.
Yeah, I didn't want this. I had my legs like shaved once, I remember, and I was like, oh, it just feels awful putting, and I was in real estate, so I was like, oh, this is awful with pants on and stuff. And then, so I like a little bit, then a little bit more, and then, yeah, they're pretty much shaved now.
They're all gone.
Yeah.
I think everyone has that resistance for leg hair shaving. My old coach, Ali Cook, would be laughing her head off right now. She was asking me for years to shave. It's pretty funny.
So yeah, so like being European, let's say, I've got quite the chest, right? There's a bit there. That's not going.
No.
I say that now, but anyway, so I still have hairy feet. So I wear like
What are you, a hobbit?
flip flops or thongs, whichever part of the world you're in.
Dodgy Iron Man toenails and hairy feet, mate. I'm going to call you Frodo.
What a combo! What a combo!
That's deadly. So yeah, look, you have put down, I would say, the best bricks. I'm not opening brick sessions, by the way.
Yeah.
The best bricks, I would say, underneath you to then attack a 20-week Ironman preparation. Would you agree?
Yes. So that was all like from the 1st of September right through till the 31st of January was about foundation, really.
It was.
A lot of cycling.
Bit of weight loss.
Well, yeah, a bit of that.
Yeah.
But I have noticed as well, like so my weight, for a couple of reasons. One being, and totally honest and open here, like over Christmas, we went to Sydney, few beers, weight didn't go up, but it plateaued, which is fine. And there's a good message in that for everyone, I think, that you can't keep going on this downward trajectory in regards to weight for your whole life. At some stage there's a little limit. But in the last 2 weeks,
It's ticked again.
oh man, like I go out for a 2-hour run and 3.5 kilos falls off.
Wow.
And that's a humidity factor as well,
Yeah.
definitely up here.
Fluid loss mainly.
Yeah. So and it is, and that goes back on, but yeah, I'm not too concerned about it.
You mentioned actually, mate, to the people. I coach you, right? So we should probably make that known. So laying those bricks down was obviously a really, really important part. So how many times did I ask you, how much you weighed in that initial phase? That was not a focus, but there was importance to it.
Yeah, we set some goals around
We
that
set
too
some
for Christmas.
goals
Yeah.
around it because I knew that basically we need to get you running a little bit better off the bike in particular. But now that we're inside the 20 weeks, I'll probably ask you never what you weigh because it's just not a focus anymore.
Yeah.
And it shouldn't be. The focus is the performance side of things. You're now at a level, so
Yeah, so it's been a tough couple of weeks. There's been I've played around with a bit of life gets not in the way, but because we're going to touch on this later, but life happens, right?
Sure
It doesn't
does.
get in the way. So I mean, even we've got commitments ourselves. We both work full time. I've got commitments at home. I've got other things that might pop up.
I don't work full time.
Oh, really? Oh, right. Yeah, so there's so the stuff comes up, and every now and then I am the biggest advocate for this, and I say this to my athletes all the time. It's like, you're an adult, you have an understanding of where you're at, so we set some parameters around, don't do 4 run days back to back,
Yeah.
but if people are, and we work with athletes in all different fields, like full-time, part-time work, parents, FIFOs, oh my god, like that's a hard lifestyle.
It is.
So there's a lot of dragging around, and there's just life. You've got to adapt to it. So yes, I have definitely not hit every single session, but I'd say I'm in the 90% range at the moment, and then on the top of that, you've got to have an understanding as well that if you're out doing, a long run, and we've spoken about this before, so long runs in particular, and you are not 100%, or look, you're never going to be 100%, but if there's a niggle, or if there's something going on, if there's a hailstorm or a lightning strike, Don't worry about your green light and training peaks, guys.
Ooh.
Just stop.
That's controversial.
Just stop.
There's some people that have just spat out their Wheaties. They want those green lights.
Yeah, and it's not it's just not worth the injury and the sickness sometimes as well when athletes train when they're sick. We hear about when they're sick because they're like, oh yeah, I'm on my second dose of antibiotics. It's like, whoa, let's wind back 2 weeks. What happened? So let us know. I think that's an important thing as well.
I like finding out an athlete's injured on Instagram. That always, we won't go there. That's always funny. But so you swim, bike, run. Is there any particular area that you're feeling right now, that you want to share that perhaps you think, well, I reckon I'm a bit light on there for this stage, or are you really comfortable with
No, I'm not comfortable at all. My swim definitely needs work on speed, and then I look at last week and I did 2 out of 4 swims. So the first thing that, and other athletes are different, but the first thing that goes for me is the swimming.
Is that a barometer? Is swimming a barometer for you?
As in relation to where I'm at? Yeah, there's probably a bit of complacency that creeps in there as well,
Okay.
because, in my previous Ironmans, I've actually swum pretty well.
Yeah.
And off the back of...
What's pretty well?
105.
Okay.
105.
But we want to be under an hour.
We want to be 59 minutes. So then, bad shoulder says you only got 6 minutes to take off your swim.
Yeah.
And then at 6 minutes is a bloody
The
long
difference
time.
between a 105 swimmer and a 59 swimmer is quite profound.
Yeah, and I mean, we've spoken about this. I've seen this at events for years, that the level of athlete that gets on the bike at 59 minutes to the 106 guy is a total different ball game. So, and for what I want to achieve when I go up to Cairns, it's important for me that I need to be out of the water in that 59 minute
You just
mark.
don't want to put too much pressure on yourself early in the bike to bridge up. And naturally, cycling is clearly your strongest, but I think that you can change the game a little bit there.
Yeah.
And that's something that we're going to be working on.
Yeah. So and then like cycling, I honestly I
We're
don't
having
have,
a coach athlete chat here.
yeah. Everyone's enjoying this. We don't have to talk this week about coaching and training. So and the run for me was a bit concerning, but now the volume's up and I had this bug in the back of my head that was telling me that my body was going to break down from last year, which is
Your calf.
pretty much the calf.
The
Oh my
calf,
God.
man. Yeah,
Anyway.
you had that, yeah.
So, and the important thing for me was to get in the right shoe, which I have now, and to rotate that through. And, I even, and you don't know this, I'll share this now.
You're injured.
But I literally run into the traffic on every road, right? Because of the camber of the road. So I do have a slight...
Melbourne Ironman, forever scarred, running up seafood in Frankston.
Yeah.
Like a Canberra of
So-
2%.
So for my, and I do from time to
That's
time
not a lot of people.
have suffered from plantar fasciitis, right? So if I run on that camber, on my right foot,
Funny.
I know in the back of my head that I'm not going to get an issue with that.
Right.
So,
Okay.
so which is something that, I know the course in Cairns like the back of my hand, and it is pancake flat and it's on footpath.
True.
So I won't have this issue. But if you're running,
How good is that running course in Cairns?
it's pretty solid.
Get excited if you're doing it, if
Yeah.
you haven't done it before.
And the support you get on the course in Cairns,
It's epic.
yeah, you don't see anyone on the bike.
It's
full
right
stop.
alongside Port Mac.
It
in
is.
terms of course support.
Yeah.
Because Port Mac actually has quite a large dead section. I suppose Cairns does too.
Yeah, when you run out to
It's
the
pretty
airport,
thick, though.
yeah, it's good. It's good. Anyway, enough about me. That's
No.
I'm pretty happy with where I'm at, and I often the last week's been interesting. Like, and I'll say this as a coach as well. A lot of athletes, and I think it's sometimes it has not rained on the east coast of Australia for quite some time.
Yep.
And it's been so when it does, you see some excuses start to fly through, and that not does my head in. It really encourages me to get out there, and it's not
To
about
show them.
just to be an example.
Just leading by example.
Be an example. So, and it's not. So this morning we both. I don't know if you were riding. I was meant to go for a ride with a group of guys.
I was setting up our studio.
It took about 4 hours. You've got to check the YouTube out. So it's when it's coming down sideways at 4:30 in the morning, that's not a safe option to ride.
It's not a great soundtrack for athletes that want to get out of bed.
Yeah.
That rain. It's a great sleeping soundtrack. The rain on the window, the rain on the roof.
However, as a mature person, flip your run. Go out for your run. It's for me at the moment. I ran home the other night. The last 4Ks was raining sideways.
Yeah.
I was like, this is awesome. I don't even have to stop for a drink.
Yeah.
So there's a bit of that too. Your shoes will dry out, guys.
The irony when you go to the swimming pool on a rainy day and it's empty. You're jumping in the pool. Yesterday I was talking to the guy at the pool, at the local pool, and it was like I had a lane to myself. For the first time in about 8 weeks, I had the lane to myself.
Yeah.
And I joked to the guy as I walked out, I'm like, can it please rain every day now? Like, it was hilarious. It's just like the irony that for some reason we don't want to go to the pool when it's wet.
Yeah. And then on the flip side of it, on the great side of this, and I'll share a short story. I won't name the athlete, but an athlete that lives in Europe and who does a bike session last week and sends me a message and says, "Oh man, sorry, this is on Training Peaks. Sorry, I've had to cut the ride short. I crashed." Right? Sorry, what? So I get on the phone to him like a few hours later. And he's like, "Oh yeah, there was the road, I didn't even see it, but it had ice on the road." I'm like, "What was the temperature?" It's like, -2. Oh, right? So he's out there and then he's apologising, which there's absolutely no need for, clearly. But he's crashed and he's like, "Oh, maybe I should head home now." Like, so that's the flip side of it. So sometimes we don't understand in the southern hemisphere, or especially where we are, how good we've got in relation to weather. So,
pretty stable.
Yeah.
It's pretty stable.
Okay.
Pretty stable.
We got off topic a bit there, but I think that's important. So where are we going to go, Timmy? Let's talk personal life, because I think that's.
Well, you dropped a bomb, or did I drop it last episode?
Well,
I had to message Alicia. I'm like, well, Greg just let the cat out of the bag. So yes, I have my second child on the way, and we are finding out the sex. It's almost like always the first question: are you finding out? But that was pretty funny actually. I'm like, when you said it, I'm like, well, okay, we're just gonna roll with it. So we've got so many great messages from everyone, and we're thrilled, we're excited. June, July. Without going into too much detail, but it's going to be. If you want to segue into our topic for the week, but it's certainly was a surprise. Also, it was a surprise, and it's certainly changed the compass of the year.
Yeah.
For good, clearly for good.
Yeah.
We're stoked and cannot wait.
Awesome. All right, so we're going to use. I thought I was.
I'm going to skip through this. I've got a bone to pick with you as well. So
good.
We've been.
I don't know what's coming here. I have no idea what's coming.
No, it's funny. It's probably something that people can relate to. Maybe you build it up in your own head, big and big and big. And we at Coa Sports, we've got something I'd say on the burner cooking that's pretty significant. It's been in the pipeline for probably about 6 months, and we're inside 6 weeks of announcing and launching. Initiative almost sells it short, but anyway, pumped. So anyway, we had something come through the other day, which was along the lines of promotion. And I was so pumped, and it's like when you send your boss a really long email, you give it a lot of thought, they come back with noted. So anyway, I sent this thing off, and I was so pumped, and I was showing people, and I was showing Alicia, and I'm like, how good is this? And Greg comes back with nice.
What email was it? You sent me an upload.
Nice, and I'm like, you bastard. You could have at least come back with a sentence or two and said, oh, look at all that hard work. That was just so well thought out, so strange. I got the one word, nice.
All right, I'm going to go back and have a look at it. Obviously, we're not going to share the content of what the message was about.
I was devastated.
However, I will point this out. I reckon it's come at the back end of a bloody Facebook post, right, that I've probably done 3 times. Tim has not even put in, I'm going to throw him back at you here. Couple of athletes up there, I'm going through, I always check them, I go through all the times, no times. So here's me going on, checking out your athletes' times, right?
Right, yeah.
Websites, checking this, research, and then I've probably got this email, I've gone, yeah, nice mate.
Yeah, that's probably true. That's probably true. Well, in fairness,
Noted.
yeah, noted. That's the worst. I remember having a prick of a boss, and you'd go and you'd do all this hard work, and noted. It's like a slap across the face.
Or you do like this full map, like you spend weeks on this thing, and they're like, not bad,
Not bad.
pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Are we gonna
I'll
go
go.
in? Are we
Yes,
gonna
let's
go
do it. Yeah.
You-
Absolutely.
You lead us in.
Okay. So we're going to talk obviously around this say-do gap. You know, the difference between what you say when you say it and what you're going to do about it, and when does it happen? You know, what's the time period between this gap, which is for some people, it's not even a time specific thing, because every person's different and the goals are different anyway, right?
Yeah.
So there could be a goal for 3 years. Well,
Did
that's-
you
that's
see?
your gap.
I don't know whether you're an NFL fan, but there's this dude in the NFL. His name's Tom Brady, and he
Never
goes,
heard of him.
he's not that. So whether you like it or not, but this was actually I messaged you this.
No, I didn't say nice to that.
Yeah, no,
that's a ripper.
this actually was like, has he been listening to our podcast?
Definitely.
Stealing content.
Thanks, Tom.
He goes pre-match Super Bowl. The guy goes, you know, what are your predictions? He's asking these, you know, general questions. And he goes, look, Tom Brady said, I've always said, well done is better than well said. And that just goes straight to the core. Now, this guy would he be in the top 5 sports people in the world at the moment? Yeah. Well done is better than well said.
Yeah.
So
Pretty
he was
awesome.
just about to deliver.
Yeah.
That he was in that mindset of, well, I'm not going to talk about it,
Talking
I'm going to
style.
show you.
Yeah.
I'm going to show you.
So I watched pretty much every minute of that. Was working at the time, in and out.
Multitasking.
Okay, so the last quarter, I said to April, there's 4 minutes to go. I'm going to put my stopwatch on here. 24 minutes.
Unbelievable.
So, and I watched
So
it.
fit those ads in.
I love it for watching. So not a great offensive game whatsoever, and it was more built around defense. Defense.
Are we going NFL 20?
Anyway, but I was more interested in the tactical side and the strategy of watching the game, and the coaches made the game. It was pretty, and I didn't even know at the time, but the coach gets to talk to the quarterback up to 15 seconds before every play in the helmet.
Yeah, but
Yeah, so the other team would be like, we're not doing anything until 15 seconds because then the player's going to have to work it out. So it was pretty cool to watch.
Yeah,
Anyway,
I
so
thought
today's topic is around balance or priorities. So let's, how are we going to go into this?
I think we just
It's a big
start off. Look, we agree on some things, you and I, and there's some things we don't agree on, which makes for great radio or podcasting, whatever you want to call it. But I'm really firm on, and maybe it takes a while in life to work it out, but it seems that society and a lot of people are hell-bent on finding the balance. Whatever the hell that means is this mirage of balance. And whether it's your personal life, your professional life, and your performance or athletic life. So some people don't play sport or do sport. So does that mean that it's easier to balance things? Probably not, because you just fill it in with something else. My first bit of advice would be stop trying to chase balance.
Yeah.
I just don't see it as a reason. I think you just set up to fail, because you're never really going to get there. You think about, okay, so you ask someone and you say, all right, so you're looking for balance. So tell me some people who you think are balanced, right? And so they tell a few people. You go ask those people who they think. They're not going to say themselves.
Yeah.
They're going to say someone else. So they're trying to think. So all you're doing is just projecting or looking or trying to look at other people and say, oh God, they've got such a good life. Like, how do they, how do they do it? They've got time to do this, do that. Chances are they're doing exactly the same thing. So, without being too defeatist, but I would give up on the notion of seeking balance.
Yeah.
And try and start to get your heads around the idea of priorities.
Yeah, so I'll jump in for a sec. So I see the balance thing as if I look at it for people that are looking for work-life balance, right? That actually does my head in a bit.
Oh.
But
I just felt sick.
It doesn't. Life isn't a perfect pizza wheel with 4 slices cut into quarters, right? So 25% family, 25% training. It just doesn't work. So at different times in your life, the priority thing, I think we're actually going to agree on a lot of this stuff today, but the priority stuff is so much more important. So for you, like we've just spoken about, your priorities are going to change so much come July, whenever, right? Whenever all this goes down with the new bulb, when it all goes down, whatever. Your priority in life changes from, let's say your priority in the next 3 weeks is supporting your athletes that are racing in Geelong and going to Colombo and having the best result you possibly can. If I ask you what your priorities are on the 20th of June in 15, 20 weeks time, whatever it is,
yep.
I don't think you're going to be telling me that your priority is
building the cot.
or hiring the right person to do it.
Yeah. True. Guilty.
Yeah, so I think, and then if you look at it as this perfect, harmony of this balance thing, that's not going to exist because, like, without even having children, but you're going to be up at whatever hours, I'd imagine that Sawyer and Tim are going to be getting on really well.
No tension whatsoever.
Yeah, so it's and then so as athletes out there that are listening to this that are in that position at the moment, that's a tough thing to deal with. But you need to have your priorities right for that time. And I think the biggest thing involved around that is planning. Planning.
Well, project planning, and that's what we are as coaches, as much as did we say it in the first episode that programming is genuinely a small part of what we do as coaches. It's certainly part of it, and managing that, but perhaps that's why I enjoy it so much, and I kind of stumbled across this that manufacturing side of project planning is we are helping people project plan their lives around specific priorities and goals, whatever you want to label it, is basically setting up someone's year or 12-month whatever to achieve the things that they want to achieve. So you have your 3 pillars, I call, and this is nothing new. It's been said many times. I'm not claiming it as my own. You've got your personal life, your professional life, and your performance, or your performance being athletic lives. So you set them up and then you have priorities around what's important to you at various stages. So probably personal life will always, should I say always? Always
mostly
first.
You'd hope so.
You want to hope so.
Especially if you're in some sort of relationship.
Yeah, with that.
Yeah.
For some, but maybe
but even outside of that.
But maybe it's not for, like, maybe, the high achievers, they're obsessed with performance. Maybe they talk about the sacrifices their family, or maybe they actually are selfish to a point where they actually put the performance. I struggle to get my head around that, about how you could do that. But if you just think about your personal life being family, friends, things like that.
Yeah.
I mean, I would say, from the family side, tip.
Perfect.
Not tip, I don't even really what to say, but from
you're going all right. You're quite happy with it on a scale of 1 to 10. Let's give you an 8+ on family.
Yeah, look, it's just I suppose when you work for yourself too, there is a lot more flexibility too. So everyone's lives are different. Yeah. And with friends, that's definitely something that I struggle with, particularly as I've discovered endurance athletes about, it's been great. I've met a lot of great people, but I've also I feel like I've really lost a lot of great friends as well. And you can sort of push it aside and say, well, stuff it. You know, what you're in a different phase, your old schoolmates, what you're living in the past. But there's some people that potentially I've disconnected with that I didn't want to, that I really didn't want to, and I hope to, sound stupid, but go back and reconnect. But maybe that's unrealistic. So for me, just personally, I think friendship, you know, is something that, you know, I'm not that good at, funnily enough. But you know, maybe that's just I don't know.
So
I'm probably talking out of school, but I don't know. I just find it really difficult to fit. And that's crap because I like connection. I like the company of good people.
Yeah.
And I'm probably a bit light on the ground there, but you know, there's just I'm going to make a big excuse. I've just got so much shit going on.
Oh, hang on.
I've got so much shit going on.
There it
Like,
is.
you know, it's hard to, particularly when you crank up training.
Yeah.
And I'll give you I'm not going to use his name, but yeah, Ray is one of my best mates. We were talking about 6 weeks ago, and since, you know, we're mates in Melbourne.
Yeah.
And yeah, like he said, oh man, I've got to come up and see your place. We've been up here a year now. I can come up and see. I'm like, yeah, absolutely, mate. He's like, send me let me know a weekend and we'll come up. I haven't gotten back to him because I looked at my training, my athletic life. I'm like, I can't. I'm right to I'm balls deep here in training and family. How am I going to fit? But when I think about that, am I? Is that healthy? I don't know.
But here's the thing: do you look back at that and say, I'm I should be doing better there because of the expectation of other people, or do you say, I'm cool with that?
Look, I'm okay. Look, the short answer is, yeah, I'm okay with it because this is my life, and this is the whole. What am I chasing? Like, am I going to try and chase balance? But yeah, I just, you know, I have definitely struggled since discovering long course triathlon and long course running, whatever you want to call it, to find that time.
Yeah. So as a balance thing, if you look at balance, there's no balance there. That's a priority factor.
It's just a priority factor. That just sounds horrible. Like, friendship's not a priority for me at the moment. That just sounds crap, mate. But anyway, it's that's where it's at.
But do you think, like, as a human being, as an outsider looking at Tim Ballantyne, that they go, oh, he hasn't got many friends, he must be an arsehole. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, look, I don't. So what people think of me, I don't care about that part of it. It's more for me about just making sure that there's all these studies at the moment about. I was listening the other day. Sorry if I've got this wrong or misquoting someone, but about this idea of connection and, you know, what social media has done, and how this has flipped stuff. We're going to digress here for a second, but how this has flipped this whole idea of connection, where I feel connected to my buddies, when in fact I'm so disconnected because, okay, great, they put up a photo. You know, one of my good mates, I found out that he was becoming a father for the second time after his wife gave birth. And I'm like, that's horrific. Yeah. Mate, that is horrific. So, was this study about people, you know, if you were in trouble, you know, in the 70s, how many people could you call upon for your aid? I think the number was around 5 or 6.
Yeah.
Now, it's 1. Yeah. It's 1, but yet there's 2.3 billion people apparently connected on Facebook.
It doesn't.
It's very interesting.
It just doesn't mean anything.
It means something, doesn't it?
I'll check Facebook.
Does it mean nothing to you?
What, the social media thing?
No, the friendship on Facebook.
Not much, really. I mean, we joke about it, and you and I do, and you know, I've got people from a huge area in the world that are adding me day after day. I'm like, oh, well, I guess they're friends now. But it doesn't. So back on your example of your mate, I was literally looking at Facebook this morning, having breakfast with April, and I said, oh, I went, again, no names. I'm like, did you know this guy had cancer? And she's like, we used to be in the Tri Club with this guy, great guy, right? And it's like, oh, hang on, okay, I'll look through his feed, or his wife's feed. He's not on Facebook, and his wife. And anyway, it turns out I'm like, oh, it was 18 months ago. Yeah. And the guy was given a time period to live. Now, to this moment, I don't know if he's with us or not. I have no idea. So that to me, like, I'm like, he was never a mate, inverted commas, that I, ring and have a beer with or whatever.
Yeah.
But if I ran into him, I'd talk to him for 20 minutes. He's an ultra endurance athlete and all that sort of stuff.
I get that. The bloke I was talking about just earlier was the best man at my wedding.
Right.
So
Yeah.
we still are tight, but we can talk about anything. We're still super, super tight. But I just found it, like, it kind of dawned on me the other day. I'm like, I can't even make, anyway, that was just something. So
Yeah.
this whole balance thing about this personal life, getting a little bit out of kilter.
Yeah.
And then obviously professional being your workplace, getting some support around that, and obviously performance. But setting this up, making it easy on yourself to set yourself up for success is critical. So sitting down, whether it's at the end of the year, it doesn't have to be in the second last week of the year to set your goals or do your New Year's resolutions, anything like that. It just has to be a period of time. It can be 6 months, 8 months, 12 months, whatever suits you, to work out what it is that you want to get out of that period of time. So we apply it to a sporting context in terms of achievements. So the first thing is that certainly for me, I set it up around personal, about where that's going to sit. So last year I was really light on racing. I did 170.3 last year in Malaysia. I wanted to make it stick because I only did one race last year.
Yeah.
That was because I was moving my entire family and business interstate. I knew that I could not put in what I would be required.
So you prioritised what was
I
important.
had to prioritise it. Despite getting asked every week when my next race was or blah, 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 and people were surprised, they're like, that's in November, that's age. I can't commit when I train is 2020, if I want to race.
You're not showing up half-baked.
It doesn't interest me. It might interest me later, but it certainly I have no interest in that whatsoever.
Yeah.
So I have to make sure that I've got reasonable time to prepare, and that just wasn't last year. So, but certainly right now I'm in a nice window to be able to prepare. That doesn't mean that I'm working less. It doesn't mean that, it just means that it's a priority for me right now that I get up early. I say beat the sun up.
Yeah.
I think it's always a good place to start for me, is beat the sun up. That's bloody hard here in Queensland. Easy to do.
It's getting easier at the moment.
Yeah, but
6 minutes a week.
beating the sun up's a good thing. The day is long.
Yeah.
The day is long. Like, I think I would see 5 sunrises a week.
Yeah.
Some people go their whole life. Maybe not a lot.
Mate, I see it all the time.
I've lost context there.
Oh my God, look at the sunrise. It's like,
It's every
comes
day.
up every day.
Yeah.
Anyway.
It's a Monday.
So I think you've just touched on it a little bit as well. And you often refer to this as, and you've coached me now for on and off for a few years. And you've often referred to, we've got a good window of opportunity here.
Yeah, that's a good way.
And I think a lot of people take a lot from that in regards to work's a bit quieter. There's certain periods in the year, right? So work's a little bit
Well,
quieter.
everyone's so busy all the time though, mate.
Apparently. My kid, like a good window, I had this last week. Look, I've got a really good opportunity now to train for the next 6 months.
Yep.
My daughter's finished high school.
Yep.
So that was a priority for us as a family last year.
Yep.
That's all done and dusted. She's gone off now to university.
Yep.
I've got a window of opportunity, they didn't use these terms, but here's the window of opportunity to train for the next 6 months and focus on a goal.
Yep.
And I think that brings us to something that I had written down here is, don't have 30 goals. Don't have 30 goals. I've tried it. It just doesn't work. I'd probably look at it and say, have one professional goal and one personal goal, maybe. Or for me, I have one goal this year.
What works for you though, really?
Yeah, I know. So
It's what works for you.
it's tricky. So I'll use my experience as a coach. When there's too many goals, nothing happens.
Yeah.
When an athlete sends you a list of, here's the races I want to do for the year, and it's 30 deep.
The notion of an A race.
There's 23 A races. It's like, mate, come on. So I think there's a lot there around priority as well. Like, what makes you tick? So what's going to get you to your best performance on race day, as opposed to worrying about oh, my mates are doing that race, so I want to do it with them. So we're coming back to coaching a little bit here.
That's okay.
But which funny that we're actually coaches. So it's not so much about I'm going to do XYZ 10k hard effort the day before my Olympic triathlon because my mates are doing that and I want to dust them up. So you sort of got to leave ego out of it a little bit as well, and focus on what's important for you. And I think as coaches, we are often bringing athletes back to on a long term, like, so we're looking up the road 6 to 12 months. Like we're coaching you at the moment to complete your first half Ironman. So a marathon's probably not going to be the right thing for you to train for at the moment with that.
Yep. I have these conversations every week with athletes, and they'll throw up ideas, and definitely without being a negative Nelly, but I would say no to more events than I would say yes to. And sometimes they just go do it anyway, and that's okay. But it's interesting. Definitely, that window is huge, and that's something that you can have conversations with your family about, because whether you're doing an ultra marathon, Ultraman, Ironman, it could just be a 10k road race, something different, some sort of challenge. You've got to have those discussions with, and I push that. I definitely push that. And so even for someone who's doing Cairns, for example, in the middle of June, I'll tell them to tell their significant other, husband, wife, work boss, whatever, hey, bring the conversation forward and say, look, the weekends of May, they're going to be a bit ugly. Like, I'm going to be training a little bit. I need your support. Right? Yep, it's selfish. Yep, endurance sport, absolutely, it's a very selfish endeavour. That said, you'd be surprised how much it inspires those people around you as well. But yep, May's going to be ugly. But after Cairns, I'm going to pull it back a little bit and just focus on something else, or go back to more of the pre-season building, or things like that. But you've got to have those conversations.
Yeah, it's planning.
You can't just spring it on them. And they like that. That's planning, man. That's project planning.
Yeah, so I've got a few athletes in that exact position that are training for their first Ironman, and two of them in particular, and I suggested this at the time, I'm like, why don't you, both guys, both married, why don't you have your wife log into your Training Peaks account as well? So she can see what's coming up. Okay. She can see it. So when it comes time to that block leading into, let's say, for Cairns Ironman, and this can relate to any endurance event. That 4 week to, let's say 6 week block out from race day, that's tough, right? Tough. On family, on work, on everything. Oh my god.
Grocery bills.
Yeah, so for April and I, when she trained for Cairns last year, I was the chef. I did all the washing, all that.
You were riding with her on her runs?
Yep, going out. Getting water out, just whatever it took to get her into the best shape she could come race day, and she didn't have to worry about anything else but focusing on an event. So, that roll's flipping. I've eaten some cookies. But to be fair, that was a lot of payback there from that bloody ride. And that's about and I'll use her as an example again. And we're not using a lot of people's names on here, but I mean, April's my partner and all that sort of stuff. So for her entire year this year, she sat down with her boss in December. She works for a company based out of Sydney. She works remotely. She went to Sydney, sat down with the boss, and went through what she wanted to achieve in 2019. So they've blocked out, there's blocks of annual leave in there. There's,
Clever.
So
clever.
And he's totally on board with I hear on the phone, the first conversation on a Monday morning, she got the total support of her boss, is, how was your weekend? What training did you do?
How good's that?
So, and there's a time...
That's not a luxury, but would you say, given the cross-section of people that we coach, if you're working a job that is Monday to Friday, 8:30 to 5:30, I'd say you're in the minority now. I think about, and maybe that's the personality type of the attraction of the.
We might attract a bit more.
Maybe that's a misleading.
I don't know though.
There's a lot of flexibility.
I reckon over 50%, if without looking, over 50% of the athletes 100%. I reckon honestly though, over 50% of the athletes I coach. So when I was scheduling a phone call or something, they're like, "Oh, Wednesdays works for me because I work from home."
Yeah.
Or text, "I'm at home today. Can we have a chat?"
The rise of freelance workers.
There's so much. Even people that work for government now, they have days where they work at home. So there's a lot more flexibility around that, which lends itself nicely to endurance sport.
People maybe, geez, it's hard when you've got a shit boss. But if you've got someone who's supportive, and say you sit down with you, I mean, if you're in accounting, you're not going to do an Ironman, or you're not going to do a big event when you're not, like, you can't, if you've been doing your career long enough, or been doing your job long enough, you kind of know when you're busy.
Yeah.
Like, you kind of know that, and even like, in the places that you live, it's difficult to train at certain times of the year. So that is why, look, preparing for Kona in Australia
Nightmare.
is tricky because it's out of our winter and into their summer.
Yeah.
So that's all about
But again,
getting sideways.
But let's just touch on that. So you did that year before, whatever, it's 2017. So you planned for it, you knew it was happening, so you went up to Thailand for 2 weeks.
I did, yeah.
So
that's a good point.
And if you didn't come home one afternoon on a Thursday and say to Alicia, "By the way, I'm out for 2 weeks."
But not everyone's got the luxury of going.
I'm not saying it, but I'm not saying that everyone's going to go and do that. But it's about the planning thing. So it's like, and we'll just take it back a giant step. Someone preparing for their first Ironman, it's like, "Hey, husband or wife, these are the 6 weeks that's going to happen in 6 months that I need you to sort of help out. But over the preceding period to that, I'm around."
You're just trying to make it easier to close that say-do gap.
Yeah.
Without being like, don't make it too hard on yourself.
Yeah.
Like if you know that you've got particular deadlines, or you're in an industry where the professional life is going to be absolutely cranking, make sure that doesn't coincide with the 6-week peak of a preparation for an event. Because what happens is that not only do the wheels fall off, but you probably start doing it for the wrong reasons. You don't really enjoy the journey.
Yeah.
It's these types of things are for me, or for a lot of people now, more about the journey. As much as it sounds like earlier, like I just want to go out there and win. Like, if I was only focused on all the time about that final 10 seconds and what that looked like, then that wears thin really, really quickly. You've got to set up those process goals and worry about the outcome goals later.
And we'll bring it back to you a little bit again. So I ran into you on the bike, not literally. I'd probably take you down actually. I reckon I'd have you. Head-on bike collision, I reckon I'd
I'm dead.
So I ran into you a few weeks ago. You were heading home, I was heading out. The luxury of not having children, right? No kids hours. So we're doing a very similar ride, and you were heading home, and we stopped for probably 30 seconds, and I'm like, "Geez, you're looking tight," and you said, "I just love it. I love going up there. Like, it's a solid climb." And I was like, "Geez, he actually really, like, your eyes lit up." So you were enjoying it. You enjoy the time that you have by yourself out training. You don't. I'm the same. I do one group ride a week. I really am enjoying the fact of getting out by myself. And we were talking about this before we started. Like, even I went through this period. I'm laughing already. I went through this period a while ago, listening to a podcast somewhere along the way about being mindful of what you're doing at the time and focus on that. So I took all noise out. At that stage, I was doing 3 to 4 hour rides. I'm doing 5 hour rides now. Headphones are back, baby. Back.
Listening to your own thoughts in 5 hours, you can go to some pretty weird places.
Anyway, we're right off topic there, and I think we might nearly wrap it up there, I reckon. I don't know if you've got anything more to add.
Well, there's a few.
Happy if you do.
I've got a few things that maybe not so much hacks, but just for those people tips that travel, for someone who certainly did travel a lot, and trying to get that right, and that is little things like so when you're traveling for work, try and make sure that the hotel's got a gym at the very least. It's like, oh, I never thought of that. try and make sure that the hotel has even maybe got a pool.
Yeah.
It might only be 18 metres, but if you go away for a week and you don't have access to a pool and you're preparing for an event, that is going to hurt a little bit. It's going to hurt a little bit. It's probably going to take you 3 weeks to get back to before you went away. And chances are, if you're travelling, then you're going to travel again. So just try and make sure.
So I'm going to jump right in there. Do a quick Google around the hotel. Is there a pool? Like
little things.
Every
like
capital
that.
city has pools, and so before you go on, I'm just going to jump in here. So speak to you if you've got a coach. Speak to the coach. Tell them what you're doing. They'll
100%.
give you tips. Every work trip you can throw, and I know weight and you're not going to take your bike on a 4-day work trip, right? But you can throw your goggles in, you can throw your runners in, and I often, because I came from this world as well, with a lot of travel, and I work with guys now that are in sales roles, and I know that trips away can involve a few nights out, entertainment. So prioritize your training around that. Go for a couple of drinks. But give yourself the ticket out. Sorry, coach has planned a session. I'm going to get to bed. I'm up at 5:30 before our
You can
sales.
say that in your own head, though. You can say that in your own head. Sometimes you don't want to tell your sales manager that you don't want to go out and do that because I've got to run in the morning.
Do a smoky. Just do a smoky.
That's
Where's Tim?
Exit stage right. You're the master of exit stage right.
Totally.
You're the master of it.
So anyway, I'll let you go on with your next tip, but I think it's important that we come back to, and it falls right into planning around what the priority is at the time.
So a lot of my athletes will be nodding, and I'm sure yours is that communicate. If you know something is coming, communicate it. Whether it's 2 weeks, 6 weeks, 6 months, 8 months away. That helps your coach. There you go. Help your coach become a better coach in terms of planning what things look like. So I have my athletes put in when they can. Some do, some don't. But I'm telling you, if you do, you'll be a better athlete because it helps it. Am I writing your 12K run in 6? No, of course not. But it allows me to then zoom out, do my job, and have a look ahead and say, okay, so in the middle of October, this person's got a 2-week conference. Let's be real here. So let's try and pick something in September, right? And then use that period. It's just thinking ahead. It's just planning. That might sound obvious, but not many people.
We don't have a crystal ball.
Not enough people do it. Yes, absolutely. Things bob up. Absolutely. Most things just bob up, but some things don't. And if they're not just bobbing up and you know about it, communicate it. Let us know. Let us help you then plan and pick that window of opportunity.
Help me help you.
Exactly. We'll get a shirt, mate. But that's going to help you become a far more effective athlete if you can communicate that. I hope there's a bunch of coaches nodding at the moment. I suppose the beauty of the Training Peak software is that you can just drop in icons and notes. My athletes, I've got some notes in November of this year. We're in February, and they'll have Hong Kong
family holiday,
family vacation, blah blah blah. I mean, that's great. We can already start to build different pillars around where the priorities sit for the year.
So where it looks practically is that for a triathlete, it means that, or let's use another example for a trail runner, right? So we're doing trail running through trails. Funny though. Your long run on the weekend, right? So when you come to, okay, I'm going to be in XYZ city doing this for whatever. So we're going to build your trail running coming into that, and then we'll maintain with road running or treadmill running while you're away.
Isn't that the beauty of running though? You can run anywhere.
Running's great,
Isn't that the beauty of running?
So and putting that back to in a triathlete specific, we will build a block of bike work prior to wherever you're going.
There you go.
I've got athletes that have got power meters, Wahoo kickers at home, the whole noise. But I call them granny bikes. So when you're in the hotel and there's that bike that just hurts your body.
45-minute limit.
Yeah, right. But you've got a heart rate monitor. So let's just do a heart rate session. Let's just keep the legs sitting over somehow.
or perceived effort, or
Ooh.
perceived effort.
Oh,
You want to go that way?
RPE.
RPE.
Anyway, I do use that sometimes. I think it's important. Like at the moment, I'm
It is.
I'm helping out a group of beginner athletes, and I use RPE full stop because most of them don't have a heart rate monitor. So anyway, I think it's important. Just the communication. That's the tip. I think.
Yeah, getting
Harped
through.
on it for 10 minutes, but let us know.
Yeah, give us a heads up. It just helps establish that window to really come at things.
Yeah.
And if you think about it, just finally, I mean, this is for yourself in such a way as well, and that's okay. Like that's okay. Like you can spend a little bit of time on yourself and planning what that looks like. I joked about earlier about you don't have to do this in December to plan for next year. I do.
Yeah.
But
that's your time.
But that's me. I genuinely do sit down and I do map out. And then a baby I knew by that stage, but like that was my pillar for the year was in July. We have a child on the way.
Yeah.
Okay, so what does my year look like around that? Because that is going to clearly be the most important thing of 2019 for me. And then I just build around that. So that might be for someone else. It could be a change in work, or it could be moving overseas. It can be so many different things.
Yeah.
But generally, that athletic life does probably come third because the athletic life doesn't put food on the table and it doesn't really make you feel that warm and fuzzy.
Yeah.
Just try and make it easy on yourself and plan ahead and talk to your coach, get a coach to help you do that.
Yeah.
We can.
Yeah, and I think that we've touched on this 3 or 4 times already in the 2 episodes now that we've done, is that the coach doesn't just flick out a program. That's not what this is about. It's about the planning and the forward thinking and the experience, So I often say to athletes, I've been through this, or whatever. I'm not going to tell lies and, just say, oh yeah, I've done that. But if I've had some experience in it, I can relate to it and say, well, when this happened to me, this is what I did, or this is what I learned from it. Yeah. So there's a lot of experience-based stuff in there as well. So and if you do have a coach, don't feel bad about contacting them and asking them for something that's happening in 6 months. We actually like it.
Yeah, definitely.
Like I'd rather hear what's happening 6, 12, 18 months down the track rather than I'm doing this tomorrow, I'm going to be away for 4 weeks. Whoa, hang on a minute. So anyway.
You'll be surprised too that if you do establish that window and it gets in your head and you have some intention around it. So I've got 20 weeks here to make this stick. If you're that sort of person, then it's like, I'm on. Like you flick a switch literally in your head and say, right, I've got a chance here. Here's my window. Yeah. Here's my window to do something great athletically this year. I've got to take it because I've only got this window to make it stick. Yeah. And so that gives you some intention. Mm-hmm. That absolutely gives you some intention.
And putting intentions out, even if it's just in your own head, makes stuff. I was going to say another word then. Makes stuff happen. Like it just sometimes things just happen, and you're like, oh yeah, I thought about that once or twice, and now it's happened. So yeah.
I reckon that's going to help people close the gap a little bit.
I think a lot of it. So yeah, I think it's really good. Well, we're going to think it's awesome.
But how long did it take you to listen to the first episode?
Me?
Yeah. Have you listened to it yet?
Did I listen back? Before I uploaded it, it was listened because mate, I go home and the first.
You do the production.
No, you are not capable of doing that.
No.
And the first thing that happens is April had lunch ready. I remember I came home last time. She had lunch ready. She goes, "Put the podcast on." So she is our vetting agent that listened back to us. So I did listen to it sort of with one ear, and I think today, hopefully, we had some points ourselves that we wanted to clean up a bit.
Have you dropped a coin in today?
Only one.
That's incredible.
I know. I've stopped myself about 4 times.
Don't stop yourself.
So I don't think we've said F word today.
No, we've not said fuck.
No, it's good. Well, anyway, so I think that's pretty much enough for today. We're getting on a bit, which is good.
What in age?
I've got so much grey hair. It's
you do? Yeah, every time I shave my head down, it's that little bit more grey.
So this is a funny story.
I blame training.
Tim cuts his own hair. And he does I don't know why. Like you could, like it's
I find it therapeutic.
therapeutic. Okay, well, how about you learn how to do it properly? Because you've got
Rat
these.
tails.
No, you've got little tufts coming out the side, like behind your ears, like an old guy.
I don't have time to go to a hairdresser. I just shave my own hair.
He's got these little wisps of hair coming out the side.
For those watching on YouTube, you'll notice there's a little
hole.
gaping hole there in the side of my head. And,
Tell us about that. People would like to know about that. I think it's an important message too.
I have a history of skin cancers, and do you want to do? Yep.
Yeah, let's go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
People want to know about what you do.
I was stupid. Being around water, we touched on the marine life, and I had a bad one cut out of my back, the type that can drop you, and so that was scary. But the one on my head is just a carcinoma. It's a type of skin cancer, but a lot of people get them. So it can't kill you, but it grows. So if I left it there, I'd end up like Gorbachev. So a big piece of cheese on my head. So anyway, I've had four operations, and my wife calls it my bald spot, which I just think was really quite harsh considering it's surgery. But I was. The doctor thought it potentially is from not wearing a cap under my helmet.
Yeah.
So I've been on the road riding now, let's say for 6 or 7 years, and what happens is when you put your helmet on, it presses your hair down.
Yeah.
And it's right in the slot of where a helmet slot is. So now I do wear one of those dorky cycling caps.
Yeah. There's a French word for it, but we'll call it a cap.
Yeah, a cycling cap underneath my helmet. So maybe there's a takeaway for you. But the sun got me good.
Yeah.
And it's really. I tell you, mate, when you have that biopsy, because I'm pretty now.
You're on to it. Yeah, I know. Yeah,
with what's going on, because I need to be. When you're waiting for that biopsy to come back, and it's
not fun.
It's not fun.
No,
it really isn't. So I'm incredibly vigilant.
Yep.
It's probably going to be the thing that gets me in the end.
I don't know.
I don't know, but I do everything I can to try and. I probably could do a little bit more. I have moved to the Sunshine Coast, which is like where the whole of the ozone.
There's a hole straight above
our head, which
yeah.
is not ideal. But I'd rather have a quality life anyway, so I'm living in. But
anyway, enough about being serious.
That's the hole in my head.
Slap.
It's aero though.
Yeah.
It's an aerodynamic hole in my head.
Okay, so anyway, let's get back to your hair for a minute. I'll buy you a voucher. There's a great hairdresser up the road, the general officer. Great spot. I'll buy you a voucher. So anyway, enough about hair and taking the piss out of you. Now, feedback.
What, for me?
Do you want some? I'll hit you.
I give you feedback all the time. Give me some feedback.
Nice.
We want your feedback.
Nice.
We want your feedback. People, we want to make this as good as we can possibly make it for you.
Yeah, and this is so cliche. It's not about us, it's about you. So if you want to hear on a certain, keep it within, at the moment, keep it within that say-do gap, but if there's an area that you want some help in, or you think that, others might as well, info@coasports.com.au.
Email, yeah.
Is that coming to me or you?
That comes to me.
Okay,
I
good.
bet.
You can handle that.
Or
and then we'll forward it on.
Because we got so much abuse about you last episode that I haven't showed you. Absolutely hopeless. Hate the sound of his voice. So I just thought, I better not show him.
You might come back.
Yeah.
So that's really important.
Heaps around nutrition.
Yeah, so that's probably a good one to touch on too. So for those that aren't, let's say we don't coach, right? So or have coached in the past, we have a private Strava group which we operate, and you shared your week's worth of food last week, and now I'm doing it this week with a bit of help because I have a homemade chef named April, which is amazing, and photographer. So you received a lot of feedback on that.
Yeah, it was amazing. It was clearly, and obviously the supplement side as well, because I use supplements right at the top of the pyramid there. So certainly that is feedback coming through loud and clear. But we're going to address that, not so much next episode, but when we feel the time is right, and perhaps we're a little bit more versed in it as well. We'll try and get trying to secure actually a ripping guest for that. So. Certainly that came through loud and clear. And one of the other things that came loud and clear was we want to know more about you guys.
Yeah, that was a big one.
devastating. So that's why, but clearly, that's just something that we're going to have to put up with.
We'll
You're
end up
going
being-
to have to put up with.
Was just Kardashian? What was that show called?
No, don't.
No, not going there.
No,
Okay.
don't.
So yeah, I've picked up the baton this week, and yeah, it's actually interesting for me myself to look at what we do eat, because I've been a bit more conscious of it. Not worried about it. Like this is what I have.
Yeah.
But I've just been like, oh, actually we're going alright here, which has been a good thing for us.
It's a good exercise.
But I think as well, for me personally, I'm really on top of it at the moment because I'm putting my body through a whole heap of training. So at the back end of a ride, I'm inclined to have a Slurpee.
That's fine.
So good. So I still do that. But as soon as I get off the bike, it's straight into recovery or off a run. And again, I've got great support at home. So I get home and there's a recovery drink ready to go.
Did you see on Twitter last night? I couldn't work out whether there was piss taking in it, but Jan had a crack at. Well, not had a crack, but he went to Pete Jacobs. So Petey was on the trainer, and he tagged Low Carb Australia and Zwift, and he was doing a session. Then Jan comes in and goes, "Oh, dude, have a piece of banana bread. It'll help you push more watts." And I can't figure out because I'm not going to go here because I don't know them from a
There's clearly a story.
Is there a half a backhand? I don't know.
Yeah,
because there was a few follow-up comments like that. The dude eating the popcorn, like you know,
I see what's
my favourite gift. That is the best one. The dude eating the popcorn.
So look, maybe we get back to it next week.
Well,
I'm not on
see the
Twitter.
follow-up.
I'm not actually on Twitter. So you can you're going to fill us in, or make a note now. You can fill us in on that next time.
Yeah.
But I know there's clearly that those two guys know each other because Jan spends a fair bit of time up here. So who knows? It'll be funny. I'm not going.
They're both world champs. Just put it at that.
Let's throw that out there. Yeah. So you can eat as much banana bread and whatever it is you want.
People can give us some feedback. The best feedback for our egos is to subscribe and share and tell your mates. And share and let this thing grow and become something extraordinary.
Yeah.
We're really passionate about doing this for a long period of time.
Yeah.
And I said last episode that I would splash on a split system.
Holy hell.
If we get the thing, but so we didn't.
But there's a fan on the ceiling.
There's a ceiling fan.
I love how you had to point it out to me though, because I'm like, you like
and
it?
it's got a light in it too.
It's got a built-in light.
So we have air circulation.
Which is amazing. I'm not dripping today. So, no, it's really good. And the other thing is, you've already touched on it, but yeah, definitely download, subscribe, do all that sort of stuff. And
What's next? What's next episode?
That's what we want to do. So, where are we going next?
We are going to be looking at. We're going to go deeper into the coaching world of things. So we're going to genuinely put on our coaching hats, and we're going to look at the concept of healthy, fit, and fast. So in that order, people, healthy, fit, and fast, and then also improving that 80%. So how can we get that 80% better? So we're going to be taking a real deep dive into that.
Yeah.
Maybe getting a little bit data driven, not too much, but I would stay tuned for that because some people just want to be healthy. They don't want to be fast.
Which is totally fine.
Which is totally fine.
Yeah, and on the back of that ties perfectly into Sayduga because it's only going to help narrow it, which is what we're trying to do here, right? Yeah,
but just to go back, I've really taken aback with the response to week. Well, I hope that you guys have gotten something decent out of the past. I'm going to just guess and say hour and 15 minutes again, hour and a half.
Hour 23.
Hour 23. That's a solid effort. So I really hope that you've gotten something out of it.
Yeah, cool. Now, last thing before we wrap it, there's something big happening at Koa. Something big.
There is.
There's an elephant. There's an elephant coming.
There is. It's it's a little bit along the lines about you, the bone I had to pick with you. There is something. I was on a conversation with one of the other organisations involved, and the guy on the other end of the phone, he goes, "Tim, you realise like if you guys execute this genuinely could change change the game. It could change the landscape of coaching even. And perfectly aware of what we're sitting on here. And over the next, I'm going to say 6 weeks. It could be inside 6 weeks. As they say, timing is everything. I'm not losing sleep, but I'm really excited about because everything we do, don't vomit in the bucket, but everything we do genuinely is trying to add value to our athlete base.
Yeah.
That's everything we do is about that. It's the first thing we put on the whiteboard if there was such a thing, but there's okay, so how can we help our athletes get better or add value? So a bit like the podcast, obviously this reaches a lot wider than our athlete base, but this
The Strava group, same thing.
This undertaking, which is now 7-8 months in, has been arduous. There's been significant investment. I would say significant investment. There's even a new team member coming on board. And, a new team member. So it's going to be.
Anyway, let's leave it at that at the moment.
That's a shocking carrot to throw out there, but
that's a big one.
Goodness me.
Geez, we better live up to it now. But people will be saying 6-8 weeks, what are you doing?
I wouldn't.
Is that what you're doing?
I would not have put it on the agenda.
No, it's going to be, and we've put down here on the notes we had we believe it'll be a game changer. So stay tuned. So if you subscribe, you're going to find out about it.
Or just follow us on social.
Yeah, whatever you need to do. So last but not least, if you want to find out more about Koa Sports, go to www.koasports.com.au or send us an email at info@koasports.com.au.
You beauty.
We're done. I think we're out.
Time to go for a bike ride.
Let's do it. See you guys.
See you guys.
I hope that worked. My fucking sound was all over the fucking
Oh.
like there was a delay on the computer.